From Bold Gold Studios in the Liberty Theater building, this is another episode of Eye On Sullivan. I am your host, Mike McGuire, joined today, as we are each week, by the chairman, Rob Doherty. Rob, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Mike.
Now, I'm told that after the 3rd of January, you're not supposed to, it's not etiquette to wish anyone a Happy New Year, but
I agree.
I'm gonna do that anyway because there have been many that have said I lack etiquette.
Oh, really? Man, I've heard that once or twice. I was watching a Larry David clip there today about that. It was like, the 7th, and a woman was saying something, and he made a very funny comment about that. We have a guest, too, Mike.
We do. We're very, very happy today is Eye On Sullivan. And if you want to drop us a line, it's eyeonsullivan@gmail.com. That's EYE on Sullivan at gmail.com. Drop us a line. Let us know what you think of the show. We've been on hiatus for a couple of weeks. But today we are coming back in with a splash, which is not easy when everything is frozen out there.
Correct. It is frozen. I woke up this morning in Florida. I went for a walk yesterday in Florida. It was 75 degrees. I was like, oh, this is great. And then I got off the plane today, and it was 22 degrees.
Well,
not happy.
We haven't yet inaugurated a new president, but the campaign season kicked off about a week and a half ago when our sheriff announced that he is going to seek re-election. He's been the sheriff here in the county for 19 years. As of next year, he is in his 20th year now, and we are very happy to have brought to Eye On Sullivan the sheriff, Mike Schiff. Mike, welcome to Eye On Sullivan.
Thank you for having me.
So Mike, you've been the sheriff now for 19 years, and we can all imagine back 19 years how things have changed in our own lives. I mean, 19 years ago, we were listening to CDs, and now we don't have CDs anymore. And 19 years ago, email was not really what the chosen mode of communication.
I mean, we even had flip phones 19 years ago.
And nobody has those anymore.
Nobody has.
Whatever happened to those?
And so, Mike, why don't we just take a walk down memory lane? When you came on, the cars were red and white?
Yes, they were.
And now they're black and gold?
Well, black and white with gold decaling.
Okay, there we go. And technology has certainly come to the sheriff's office. So, Mike, why don't you take us back 19 years? We were in an old jail. We're now in a beautiful new state-of-the-art facility. So, Mike, why don't you walk us through quickly the last 19 years and what you found when you came on and what changes and what technologies and additions you've brought to the sheriff's office?
There have been so many changes. I'll try to remember some. When I first came on in the old jail, Hal Smith, our jail administrator, working with him and the undersheriff, Eric Chaboti, we made a bunch of changes in the kitchen. The kitchen downstairs used to get up to close to 100 degrees. Yeah. So first we put in an exhaust fan to blow the air out to the outside, and that didn't quite do it. So then we moved all the compressors, and it actually made it livable down there where the people that work for us, that worked in the kitchen, could work under humane conditions. Then Hal Smith came up with an idea. We had a laundry contract that was quite expensive, and he came up with an idea, if we get a washer and dryer, we have trustees, and we can do our own laundry. And we did, at a big savings to the county.
Now, just to be clear, so that our listeners understand, when we talk about having trustees, we're not talking about like village trustees. Trustees are...
No, they got away from us.
Right. Trustees are folks that have been sentenced or are awaiting sentencing in the jail, but their behavior is good. These are not generally violent individuals, and they have skills, and they're able to use those.
Yes, they do. One of the other big things that Hal Smith brought to the table, and we initiated, we got rid of we got a dishwasher, a commercial dishwasher for the jail, and that meant we were able to get rid of a ton of styrofoam that we didn't have to purchase, store, use, and then send to the landfill. Mm-hmm. We were able to buy plastic trays that were reusable, and we, the standards with the health department, you can't just wash those in the sink. They have to be heated to a certain temperature to make sure there's no bacteria. So we were able to do away with basically one of the earlier green technology things we were able to do in the jail. And we were very proud of that. There used to be stacks of styrofoam that stuff just lays in a landfill forever.
So you are the environmental sheriff.
On some things, yes. Possibly not on everything. But,
All right, so that's the jail, and obviously you were very instrumental in the design and build out of the new jail. But the sheriff's office, although constitutionally the single requirement for a sheriff is to maintain a county facility, county jail.
in a civil department.
And a civil department. We've got a road patrol, and what are some of the changes that we've seen in the road patrol over 19 years, besides the retirements?
Yes. We always have those. We've changed our equipment. Technology, as you brought up before, always changes. The cars themselves are so much better. The Chargers we've been using, the Durangos, way above what we used to drive in. Not just in the sheriff's office, but when I was with the state police. Those cars are incredible. They handle well, they hold up well, and probably those Chargers are the best police car I've been in my career, which is about 48 years now.
And I think the first police car that you were in when you joined the state police was a Model T, correct?
Close. They had just moved up to the next.
I mean, people don't understand how important the vehicles are. I mean, they're on the road for anywhere from 8 to 16 hours at a time of constantly driving, and they need to be held up, and it's pretty rough up here during the winter time.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest boons we got was when the cars went, we were able to get police cars in all-wheel drive, which made it incredible. We have to get around in weather that it calls for that. And then at one point, we couldn't get the Hemi anymore, which is more geared towards our type of use of a vehicle. But we had to make a choice between a Hemi and all-wheel drive, and we went with the all-wheel drive because at the end of the day, that when we have a storm or something, that allows you to get where you need to go.
Then I've had friends tell me, who were deputies, like if you were down by, Coshecton or down by the light in Forestburg, the radios just didn't work,
Yes, and we still have problems with that. They've improved greatly. The county put in, under your leadership there, we put in a tower system, which has increased it tremendously. It still has holes, but again, with technology, we're looking to get some Starlinks that will assist us in the areas where we don't have. We've already, the radio service. The legislature, we've approached them on that. And our stance on it is, for years, we said we couldn't fix it. Now we can.
Now you can fix it.
Now we just have to pay for it, and it's one of
Correct.
those things that I think we're going to have to bite the bullet and bring it up to the technological level that we can to make our people safe and be able to serve the public and get where we need to be and get whatever backup or whatever would have to go to a scene.
Now, one of the things that I know you've done also is the training of the officer. Okay,
Yep.
So I know guys used to come on. I mean, I spoke to a lot of old timers. I was friends with Jim Ginty's father, who was Jim Ginty Sr., and he would tell stories about, you basically got a gun and a badge, and, here's your car, and go get him, Tiger.
Yeah, we're trying to keep up with the times, and training and education is always the key to having a professional operation. In the jail, with the new jail, we've got what's called a CERT team. So when we have somebody that's disorderly, we call the CERT team. They train, they go in, and they take people out effectively, normally without harming them. We photograph that so that every extradition that's done by the CERT team, it's filmed, so that it's an open book.
Yep. Transparency is a big issue in all of that.
So, Mike, that, of course, is topical now because in the news over the last week or so, we all were witness to what went on at Marcy Correctional Facility. And I want to be absolutely clear that in this county, in this area, we have lots of folks that are correctional officers, and they, by and large, the overwhelming majority are professionals. They're well-trained. They handle difficult situations extremely well. The CERT team is the group that you put in place that actually has the special training to de-escalate situations. And jails are very, very difficult because you've got everybody from a DWI misdemeanor in there to a multiple homicide individual all together. So why don't you talk about the type of training that the CERT team gets so that people can understand that what happened in Marcy is unique and that you've taken steps to make sure that our staff is trained so those things don't happen.
The CERT team is trained to go in and physically remove somebody when necessary or to de-escalate the situation. And again, the transparency is it's on camera, they film it, and that's what keeps everybody above board. And I would hope that their training keeps them above board, that they know that they're professionals and they know what they're required to do and what is appropriate in a facility like ours and what's not. When we take somebody in the jail, we drum in their heads. It's our job to house them, keep them there, and then release them in better or the same condition we got them in. And it's not our job to punish them. It's not our job to make their stay miserable. We're basically running a hotel, and you have to keep your eye on the ball. We tell our people you've got to be professional. You've got to treat people fairly, evenly, do it the same every time. And we've been very pleased with the people we've got, and I think we have a pretty decent outcome. And I'm very proud of the people that work in the jail because it's one of those jobs, they're the unsung heroes. Right now they're going through a horrendous time with overtime, and they're getting mandated because we don't have enough people. We can't get people through a background to hire. And when you hire people, they want that job, and then when they get in and find what it's about, that people will throw urine on you, feces, hit you, demean you. It's a tough, mentally tough and physically tough job. And people find out this isn't for me, and we're having an awful time with retention. But our people, the core group, just continue to come in every day, do their job, do it professionally, and they make us proud.
So, Mike, that's the jail. We have other specially trained teams that work under the rubric of the Office of the Sullivan County Sheriff on the road patrol, on the waterways and the lakes. Why don't you talk about some of those other special teams that we have?
By the way, we're not there when you came to office.
We're not there, correct. Thanks. Yeah.
Well, the first thing we did was we put DARE back into our schools. Then we started a school resource program. And right now that program is up to 12 school resource officers with a lieutenant and a sergeant overseeing it. And I don't think in today's day and age we should have schools that don't have school resource officers in them. Not everyone does. Almost everyone in Sullivan County does at this point. That went from nothing to a program that I would consider outstanding. Our Lieutenant Cheryl Crumley runs that. And now we've combined that they do DARE, they do school resource, and they're also our youth office. We've got a detective, Bob Citron, who has been designated as our youth detective, specializes in the crimes that are associated with young people, and it's a whole different gamut than just burglaries, assaults, and you have to have that special training. And they are all trained in those fields. And I think that makes a difference to our families in the community, that they know they have people like that in their schools. And I think it makes a difference to the schools, the administration, and the students.
And do you think it's about building relationships with your officers and these kids, especially in the tougher schools, and then they have someone to go to, and they have a better relationship?
Absolutely. You're a city guy, and I believe they had PAL, they called it.
Yep.
And that was New York City police officers that interacted with these children outside of the school normally, but they interacted with them, and it was like a mentoring program. Mm-hmm. Our officers are in there to deal with everybody, and it's a difficult job because you're balancing school administrations, teachers, parents, and students. Mm-hmm. And with very little ripple in the water, our people do what I consider an excellent job, and they're always being scrutinized by the administration in every school, and they're scrutinized by our administration that runs the school.
And there's obviously training that goes into that also. I know that you guys do, to prevent like a Uvalde situation, you guys do training for that as well.
Absolutely. All the school resource people have the school resource training. Mm-hmm. They go to a special school for that. They have their training. And those aren't the kind of jobs you throw somebody in a long-term process. Sometimes we have to backfill someone, and they don't have the training. But as soon as possible, we get them the training so that they can do the best job for those children, the teachers, the parents, and the administration, and for us, for our agency.
I agree. I mean, I know one of the things that, my legislature did was that we gave you the tools, for school resource officers to use in case of a Uvalde type situation where you could breach classrooms and you can get in places while being protected through shields and some other, tools that you use in that process. And, and you were very adamant that you thought it was important to have them. And,
Now, in addition, you talk about breaching doors and going in. We have a response team that is designed for whether it's to go into a building for a shooting incident, lost hunter, lost person, lost child, any special incident where we need manpower to go afield and be trained to handle those situations. We have that response team. Those people are trained. Our initial training came from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Office, and we've continued training with Orange County. They've been very helpful to keep our people up to snuff. And we were able to obtain a Bearcat, which is an armored vehicle that when we first got it, brought a lot of heat on the office that we don't want military vehicles. It looks like a military vehicle, but there is no armament attached to it. It's a protective shell.
Well, when you say no armament, it
mounted
of
on
itself is a protective vehicle for the officers that are going into a dangerous situation. But there's no arms that can fire out of it, is what you're saying.
Other than what the officers carry.
Correct.
There are portals to shoot out of, but those are weapons that the officers would have been carrying anyway. The Bearcat, when we got it, our initial instance, we did not get the breadwagon configuration. We got a four-door because we looked at it as a rescue vehicle. And we took out the back seats and we put in a little jump seat that popped out of the way, thinking that if someone is hurt, a civilian, a fireman, a police officer, and we have to get them off a field where there's active fire, we can pull in and have three sides of the vehicle that we can extricate someone from that scene. And I believe the design that we did, which was unique at the time, when we went up to Lenco that builds the Bearcats, they were pushing me the other way. Our staff looked at it, and our staff decided, no, we want this other type of vehicle. And as it turns out, there was up near Rochester, there was a fire started by an arsonist, and when the fireman came, he shot 4 firemen. Two of them were able to be rescued and saved with a Bearcat. They went in under fire, and they took them out. 2 of the firemen did die. But I look at the Bearcat more as a defensive. There was really no offensive component, and a rescue vehicle to get people that are in that position where there's someone has a gun and they're out there in a vulnerable position. We can go in and we can get them. And to me, that's so important.
So, Sheriff, the detractors would say, this is quiet Sullivan County. Why do we need this military equipment? You are scaring people with this. If we didn't have our Bearcat, they say the state police have those vehicles or other agencies might. What do you estimate would be the response time if you had to rely on other agencies to provide those vehicles?
Well, first of all, when we got it, the situation is different now. I believe the state police had a couple of them, but I don't believe they had any over by Sullivan County. Orange County did not have one, nor did Ulster. So when we got this, we agreed that it would be a regional response vehicle, that if anybody needed it, any of the adjoining counties or even beyond. And to tell you the truth, I don't know if it's proper or not. If Pike County or one of the counties over in Pennsylvania needed us, we're going. To protect other officers, to protect the public, just because they're not Sullivan County residents, we would roll with that equipment and it would be brought to bear.
And of course, what's important for everyone to understand is that people who want to bring harm to others, particularly in large numbers, generally don't telegraph that in advance. I mean, nobody knew last Saturday morning what was going to happen in New Orleans, and nobody knew on April 19th, back about 20 years ago, what was going to happen at Columbine. And you've taken our department and you've brought it up to be able to respond to those kinds of emergencies where minutes mean lives.
Any major incident I've seen on TV that I watch, there's always multiple Bearcats. I just believe we were ahead of the curve. Now we're just part of the pack. But it's something that in today's day and age is very necessary, and you never know when you're going to need it. I can only imagine, like in Las Vegas when you had that shooter several years back, shooting from his hotel room. You're going into that situation, people on the ground needing to be rescued, and you're still being shot at, and you don't even know from where. It took them a while to zero in on that. A Bearcat would allow you to go in under fire and rescue people, get them to safety, and get them medical treatment. At least give them a shot.
On the 20th of this month, we'll inaugurate a new president, and during the election process, we had the president-elect with all of that manpower available shot at, and in fact hit. You never know when this is going to happen, and through your leadership, our office is now able to respond to protect the people of Sullivan County without having to rely on people coming to us from Pike or to us from Dutchess or somewhere else, where that amount of time is going to mean lives.
And it's gotten to the point, in the beginning, it was slow getting off the ground to get to scenes. Now, that Bearcat rolls quite often. And for the state police, for our local PDs, to Orange County, I believe we actually were called over to Pennsylvania the one time. I don't think we got there in time, but it was rolling. And it's become an invaluable piece of equipment to protect the public here. And I said when we got it, and I'll still say it, that's probably the best purchase that I'll make as sheriff to save lives. Guaranteed it either has or it will. And it allows us such broad parameters in a situation where gunfire is being had.
So this isn't just eyewash for a parade. These are tools. And the folks that ride that equipment, ride that Bearcat, what kind of special training do they receive?
We make sure that anybody that is going to drive that has training to drive a large vehicle, whether it be a dump truck or something of that kind. We don't just... To drive that vehicle, it's not like getting behind the wheel of a Honda Civic. And it doesn't stop the same. It doesn't handle the same. And we make sure that the people driving them have experience driving trucks.
Well, even the deputies that are on the team that ride in the vehicle, even they don't drive, they also have special training.
Yes. As I said, we had gotten the initial training from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Office. Since then, we've worked with Orange County that has a pretty advanced response team. And we get training. We just had somebody graduate from Oriskany, one of our deputies that went up for the training. And whenever we can, we get them into that training to up their skills. Because like any other skill, you have to be fresh. You have to use it and you have to train.
So now we look up in the skies different times of the year and we see drones all over the place. There was a whole issue a couple of months back with the drones down in New Jersey, and then it turns out across the country we had drones that were keeping an eye on several of our military installations, and our sheriff's office has drones as well.
And I would just say, I don't know who those drones belong to, but they weren't ours.
They weren't ours.
They were not ours.
Well, I know the person that founded that program was out for a little bit. I wasn't sure if maybe some of them had run amok looking for him.
Well, he was off for a little bit. I can't speak for him 100%.
So what do we use our drones for? Is this, again, just a lot of high-tech showmanship, or are these really important tools in your safeguarding the people of Sullivan County?
Not just the drones. You know, the toys that the public has that we purchase in our hands are not used as toys. When we have an ATV or a UTV and we go out, it's no longer, we're not joyriding. We're looking for someone that's lost. We're looking for a body. We're using it as a tool. The drones are no different. When that program started, I'm probably the most low-tech guy around, but I recognize the value of those.
His flip phone is the first exhibit there.
Exactly.
And, you know, we started off, it's an up-and-coming program. We knew we could use it in searches for lost children, lost people, drowning victims. We envisioned a pretty broad base of usage for that. And we started off with a couple of drones. Well, that program took off. We actually have a member of the drone program very close to your, that you know.
Yep.
he's very inventive, and he found out that we could do building searches instead of with a robot with the smaller drones. So if we had a school shooting, we can send a drone in and fly down the halls.
And they actually train for that.
Yes. But at the time he did it, the people that sell the drones were like, you did what? They never really looked at it for those uses. And he's been on the forefront, and he still is. He's developing, working with the military, getting us a program that he just did a briefing down in Orange County for the DA's office and for the sheriff's office, that whatever the drone is seeing can be transmitted to someone's cell phone or to a laptop or to a screen somewhere, and that they can see in real time as this is going on. Initially, it came online for the response team, so that everybody involved could see in real time how this thing is moving along.
And his vehicle is actually going to be, or in the process of being equipped, so that it becomes essentially a mobile command center, so that it can roll anywhere in the county, anywhere really in the country. Yes. And he's got the monitors in there, and he can get the drones airborne quickly.
Yes, and we're finding new uses as we go along. We had the warehouse fire just a short time ago in Monticello. So I got one of our deputies to come with a drone to see from the air what it looked like. And he went up, and looking at it, the firemen, we had 2 ladder trucks there putting water on the fire, what appeared to be putting it on the fire. But when you looked at the building from above, all you could see was smoke. He went up, and all you could see with the camera was smoke. So he put it on the thermal imager. And then you immediately got an outline of the building, all the hard spots, and you could see where the fire was because it's giving you a reading on the temperature. So he got over with the fire chief, and they're looking at a screen, and he's directing his people fighting the fire, lower your flow of water, raise it, go to the right, go to the left. So instead of just spraying water on the smoke and hoping you're hitting the fire, they were spraying the water on the fire, which without the drone, they would not have been able to see.
You're just pumping water in.
And his comment to my guy was, who would have ever thought when I started fighting fires that I would be doing it from a screen with a drone overhead telling us where to put the water?
That's incredible.
That's incredible. And again, it's just a tribute to the ingenuity that you have encouraged and developed in your staff and your people you've brought on that are finding new ways of using this. And again, the folks that are operating those drones, they're also highly trained, and in fact, they're licensed as drone pilots.
Yeah, I think their training is always ongoing, and they're blazing a path. I think with the people we've got in there, they're very innovative. But we had like 4 incidents in like 2 weeks. That was followed up, the fire with the warehouse, by a grass fire out by Ulen, in a very steep area, very rough terrain. And some of our firemen are getting up in age. To send them out to walk all over the place in some places that weren't safe, the drone went up with the thermal imager and could tell them where the fires were starting up again. And they could go in specifically to that spot and address that problem, instead of walking all over the place trying to figure out where it's going to start. Because the fire would go underground, under the grass, and then flare up after a while. And it saved them a ton of work and manpower. Then we had a fire at the Pines Hotel, and our drone operator was observing with the thermal imager again, and a wall collapsed. And the fire chief said, did all our people get out? Well, he had been monitoring, and he said, yes, I was monitoring. They all got out. So now instead of having to send people in to go make sure they're not in the
a
rubble,
dangerous building that's collapsing,
they didn't have to.
That's fantastic.
Then we had the forest fire over in Sundown, and we split it up, the state police, Ulster County Sheriff's Office, and us, and we had drones up around the clock looking for flare-ups, trying to keep that thing under control. And again, we had 4 incidents that were tightly linked with fire that I think we gave a demonstration to firemen on what could be done. And it was like any other class. That's awesome. That's really cool. But I think once they got a taste of what they really could do in real time, in a real situation, I think it opened some eyes. And it opened ours. We don't know all the parameters and things we're going to be able to do with those drones.
Is it fair to say that Sullivan County is taking a leadership role within the Hudson Valley communities with technology and new and innovative ways of using tools and technology?
Yeah, we're trying to stay equal or ahead. I mean, we've gotten plate readers plate readers are an incredible tool. When a plate reader passes a car, it's logging that license plate. So 2 things can be done with those. First of all, if you pass one that's stolen, unregistered, driver is suspended, it tells you when you pass it and you can stop that subject, which normally you would never pick that up.
And that gives you reasonable suspicion in order to stop. It gives you a reason to stop. You don't have to say, wait till he speeds or crosses the yellow line or all.
Sure. And then if you've got an unregistered or an uninsured vehicle, before there's an accident or something and somebody, their insurance company isn't going to pay because it's unregistered, and the owner of the other vehicle is on the hook as being at fault.
Yep.
So it gives us that. But what it also gives us is if we have a car we're looking for, we can plug it in. If we've got a suspect that we get a call notified from Jersey, New York City, anywhere that this car, this person is wanted, they put it in the computer, we'll pick up on that. And they've made it now where any state, we're linked to them. It used to be just pretty much New York State. Now, if you belong to this plate reader database, and we do, anywhere in the country, if we plug it in that we're looking for somebody and they're down in South Carolina and they pick them up on a plate reader, we get the hit that they found. The other thing is, if we're looking for somebody and they think they might be up here, which happens all the time, you get a call, we're looking for this person, they may be there, you can take the plate, drive through parking lots at restaurants, hotels, up and down
Casinos,
streets.
whatever.
And if you pick up that plate, you got it. To try to look at all those plates,
It's almost
you'd
impossible.
it's close to impossible. So it's just a wonderful
And
tool.
all
the
this happened in
technology.
19 years.
Yes.
You went from basically, a typical movie,
Red and whites with the wheels falling off.
red and white with the wheels, with the Catholic converters, to where you're cutting edge technology now, and it's not just about becoming a road patrol guy. There's so many different aspects of your agency now than there was just a mere 19 years ago.
And we're trying to address whatever problems come up in the county. Whenever there's something that'll be blocking traffic, we try to get in there and break it open. We have a boat patrol with a jet ski and 2 boats that we try to patrol some of our lakes, where when people come up for a weekend or a holiday and they drink and drive their boats and they're pulling kids without life preservers on, or running around in jet skis where they're putting people in danger, we've got a boat out there. We're writing summonses or warning people, but we're out there trying to protect the public. So we try to be involved at every level with whatever comes our way.
I mean, because a lot of people, they go to Swinging Bridge, they go to White Lake, they go wherever, and then they dock it. They basically moor their boat, right? And then the kids jump off and they're playing outside. But meanwhile, you have people, on jet skis, zooming by, and I'm not saying that they've been having a few drinks, but they have. But I notice when I'm on the lake, and I'm on the lake a lot, when the sheriff's department's on the lake, it's a nice, calm, fun day for everyone, and everyone has a nice time.
Well, I think that's, you get that anytime. If there's a police officer there, not that they're close by and we're going to call them. If you say we're going to call them, people still can act up.
Yep.
When they're on scene, a lot of times nothing happens. And I think just having the boat out there, whether they write a summons or stop anybody, just the fact that they're out there brings it down a couple of notches.
Oh, I agree with you on that. And I've witnessed it so many times.
And it's not uncommon to see people on White Lake or on Swinging Bridge when the Marine Patrol is not there, driving in a manner that is ill-advised.
That's a nice way to put it.
Nice way to put it.
Yeah.
We try to be helpful wherever. And, one of the components is
We're from
fire.
the government and we're here to help.
Yes. But I try to say that with a straight face and to mean it. We are. We have to remember who we are. We're public servants. We're here to help. We are here to help you with your problem. And one of the things we drum in our guys' heads, even if you can't fix the problem, try. Show some interest and try to solve it. I think people understand that not every problem can be solved. But if you give it an honest try and you show some interest, they'll take that. They'll take that all day long. And we are one of the local law enforcement agencies, and it's our expectation to interact with the public when they have a problem in that manner and take a sincere try at trying to fix whatever that problem might be.
And Mike, I think that's been one of the special things about your style as sheriff. You're not a person who ran for sheriff or got elected so that you could then be sheriff and all the status that goes along with it. You're out doing coffee with the sheriff. You have lunch most days in one of the diners in the county. You probably have dinner several nights in the various diners. You're out there and you're available with the people all the time. You're not holed up in your office.
No, and I found out even as a trooper, if you want to find something out, don't stay in your car riding around. When you get out at a diner, people come up, tell you things, ask you things. You're interacting. They build a comfort level. And I've been a big proponent. Get out of the car, go into a diner, go into a store. One of the programs we've started is foot patrols. I don't know if other sheriff's agencies do that because they're covering the whole county.
Yeah, but we have 8 villages, right?
And we send people we tell our people, get out of the car, park it, Roscoe, Manor, Narrowsburg, Callicoon, Wurtsboro, all the little hamlets.
And you have deputies that are from that area, so they know the people. And
get out of the car,
yeah.
Talk to people, go in the diner, go in the bakery. You don't have to buy it. Just go in and talk to people. Show them that you're there. Stop in a store. Talk to the owner. How are things going? That's community policing.
That's all very
grassroots.
important.
And we try to stress that with our
I want to
people.
mention just quickly, we talked about our drones and about our technology, and we also have a friend to the county that's here out at the airport, Hatsola Air, and they've now brought a helicopter to our airport that is equipped with infrared technology and cameras to assist if you needed a larger vehicle to do a search and rescue mission where the drones maybe were not available to you.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, you're better off with a drone.
Right.
Bringing a helicopter in close can blow everything all over the place and create havoc. But there are instances where nothing but a helicopter will do. And they have promised and said that if necessary for public safety, that they would come in and assist us and work on that. And I appreciate that greatly. We have not had to use that, and I hope we never do. But putting that on the table and giving us, as a poor county, Rockland County, the sheriff's office has a helicopter. State police has a helicopter. Other counties have helicopters. Onondaga, Niagara. We're not in that category. So to have access to a helicopter, if necessary, on a fairly quick basis, can be a lifesaver, a major lifesaver. Because with the river, with flooding, the things that we do have, we've had dams almost breaking.
I mean, one of the things that we push as a county is our hiking trails. A lot of times people can get lost, and maybe you can't get to them, and maybe a helicopter would be able to get to them. I mean, it would make it a lot better.
Absolutely. And there's nothing one thing fits all.
No.
Drones fill one category, helicopters fill another, jets, fill another category. And it's always good we don't have access to jets or any jets, but I was going to work on you on that.
If only the town of Highland had come through, we might have had a jet.
But between a helicopter and a drone or any other piece of equipment you have, it's like having a Phillips head or a straight flathead screwdriver. One works on one category and does not work at all on the other. So it's always good to have a variety of tools in the box to bring out in whatever emergency may be thrown at you.
Well, again, and the point that can't be missed here is that, Sheriff, it's through your ability to build relationships and build bridges with people that you built a relationship with Ellie Rowe and his crew with Hatsola Air, not because you were looking for anything for yourself initially. You've built those kind of relationships, and ultimately they now come to our airport. They are probably one of the foremost humanitarian organizations in the world. They're flying humanitarian missions all over the world, literally, and they now brought a helicopter to our facility, and that's a tribute to you and your relationship building.
Well, it's always nice to be around people and groups of people that do nothing but good deeds. And I can't say enough about all of their programs. They don't charge. And they're helping families out that are in crisis, whatever that crisis might be, many times life-saving crises, to get someone to a hospital from a third world country where they've got to get not just to a hospital where it's a matter of an ambulance. It's to get them maybe thousands of miles somewhere else to get the help that they need in the hospital they need for whatever their illness might be.
Yeah, very specific. There's that story about the lungs in the Pittsburgh hospital.
Sure.
There's the Mayo Clinic stories. I mean, there's lots of stories. But again, like Mike said, it's the relationship building that I think you've done over 19 years that has made your office, a shining star, no pun intended, of the county. One of the things, my wife, was in politics her whole life, and, the one thing she always says about Mike Schiff is that he's approachable, and he's the most benevolent man with a lot of power. And that's a lot to be said about a guy, because a lot of times, she knew Joe Wasser. She knew, Danny Hogue. I mean, Danny Hogue and her father went to school together. They used to eat in Blanche's all the time together. You just say Mike Schiff is very approachable.
Well, people laugh about, not all people laugh, but the coffee with the sheriff. But it's an opportunity to get it out into the public and have them come to me and say, I've got this problem. And it's rare. I think once I had one coffee with the sheriff that nobody had a complaint. They just came and say hi and have coffee.
Maybe the coffee wasn't any good.
Yeah. But it's an opportunity for them to approach me or the undersheriff or the deputies we bring to those and voice a complaint so that we can address it. Because we've had these up in Long Eddy, we've had them in Narrowsburg, we've had them all over the county. And we try to get out because we serve the whole county. We don't just serve the large townships in the center of the county. And it's so important, I feel, to get out there and put yourself out there.
So, Mike, by the time this term ends, you'll have 20 years with the sheriff's office, 28 years with the state police. You have reinvented and revolutionized the sheriff's office, everything from the whole look and branding of the sheriff's office to the training to the equipment. We are on land, sea, and air, literally. Training is ongoing. Our deputies never stop training. They're constantly being reminded and reintroduced to our policies and procedures. You've got grandchildren. You've got children. 20 years, 28 years. You've given an awful lot to the community, as I know that your mom and dad gave a lot to the community. Why not just say, hand the baton off to someone else? What else can I accomplish? What are you looking to do in the next 4 years? What do you see as the challenges for the sheriff's office in the county going forward?
Well, first of all, I'm so thankful to the people of Sullivan County to allow me to do this job. They have hired me and allowed me to run their sheriff's office. It's not my sheriff's office. And they have allowed me to run their sheriff's office for them for this past 5 terms. And I'm very appreciative of that they put their confidence in me and my staff to take care, to do that. Policing has been the majority of my adult life, whether with the state police or with the sheriff's office. Currently, I'm working with some of the best people, the men and women that work for the sheriff's department, whether the sheriff's office, whether in the jail, the civil department, who those people, they've got to get it right every time, and they do. They're hardworking, and again, it's a sleeper. People don't see them. And the road patrol. And they all work so hard. They take it so serious that they are public servants and they know what their role is, that I'm so proud to work with them that I would like to run another term. I would like to get another 4 years to try to help. And maybe our new assemblywoman has said that she wants to work to change some of the bail reform. We need to change the HALT Act. The HALT Act is making it almost impossible to run a safe jail.
Now, Mike, for those listeners that we have at Eye On Sullivan, EYE on Sullivan, and EYE at Sullivan at gmail.com, for our listeners, what is the HALT Act?
The HALT Act is some laws that the state passed that when we had somebody that would assault an inmate, another inmate, or one of our COs, we would lock them down. We would let them come out for an hour to get rec. They have visual where they can see everybody else in their pod back, so they're not in isolation. But when we take somebody in the jail, we take everything they have that they would have in the outside world to protect themselves. And now it's an obligation for us to make sure that they're safe from our COs, from other inmates, or from anything else that might harm them. And the HALT Act They make it where we have to let out inmates that are assaulting other people for 7 hours a day. There's not enough breakdown in our facility to make that safe. We still have to let them up. You assault someone, whether a CO or another inmate, and we've got to let you back out among them. In the pod system, you go to a common area. And I just find that untenable. That is just unacceptable. It's insanity. And if you don't want to protect our correction officers, which every legislator should, want to protect those people that work so hard for us, but we've taken an oath to protect those people that are put in our facility to make sure that they're protected. And if you want to talk to the underprivileged, the people that are arrested, the people that you might have sympathy for, which some people deserve, it's our job not to judge that. They were put here for a period of time, and it's our obligation to make sure they're safe. And they're making it where we're not able to accomplish that. And I just find that unacceptable.
So, Rob, as we see every week, this is the fastest hour of the week by far. You have any another last question for the sheriff?
No. I just want to thank you for your 19 years of service. When I came into office, obviously you want to know who the sheriff is. We are of the same party. We didn't agree on everything, but I understood your mission, and we have expanded the drug investigations in this county, and I've always found you to be on the cutting edge of technology, which is humorous in another way because he still has a flip phone, folks, but he knows how to run a department, and that's the key. I mean, you are now running a department that has 50 moving parts in it, and that is the key behind who your sheriff is.
So, folks, Mike, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know how busy you are with that department.
If I could take 1 minute,
sure.
I had started to bring it up, fire.
Sure.
In Orange County, they've got 30-some police departments. We don't have that here. And sometimes people forget, they think of police. The fire department is almost like an arm of the police society here, the agencies. We don't have the manpower, we don't have the equipment, and to have that duplication would be crazy. But fire is there for us 3 in the morning on Christmas Day. It doesn't matter. We call, they come out with equipment, manpower, whether we're pulling somebody out of a ravine, where we need lighting, we need highway traffic control. Those folks make us able to do our job. Our people work hard, but without those volunteers in the ambulance when we need them, and the fire especially, because we need them all the time. And I have to tip my hat to fire because, like I said, without them, we couldn't come close to completing our mission. I was over at the Fatal on 52. It wasn't our accident. The police were there. But who was there with them? Fire. There were several trucks. There was a ton of firemen, and they were the ones assisting to help leave the police to do the investigative part of that job. And they're out there on a bitter, bitter cold night, and they just did it like they do every other night, every other time we call. So anytime I talk about our agency or anything with policing, I feel negligent if I don't mention fire. It's an incredible group of people.
Well, there's no question that those volunteers, and I'm proud to say now my youngest son is amongst them. He's in White Lake, and he is embracing that commitment to community. So, folks, this has been another episode of Eye On Sullivan. That's EYE on Sullivan. And we would ask you to take a look at us. Check us out on YouTube at Eye On Sullivan, and that's at YouTube. And if you like the show, if you got ideas for other shows, drop us a line at eyeonsullivan@gmail.com. That's eyeonsullivan@gmail.com. Another great and informative week. Sheriff, we wish you and your crew all the best for 2025, and we want to keep our officers and our people safe, and I know that you've been doing that for 19 years as sheriff now and 28 years before that as a state trooper, and hopefully we'll be able to have the sheriff back again. And folks, again, if you have questions for the sheriff, you have things that you're interested in, drop us a line at eyeonsullivan@gmail.com, at Sullivan, eyeonsullivan@gmail.com. Rob, Chairman, thank you again for another interesting show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mike McGuire along with Rob Doherty and our sheriff, Mike Schiff. Thanking you for joining us for another episode of Eye On Sullivan. Have a great week. We'll be back next week.